80%, these are journey-level workers. These are seasoned men and women who are very experienced. They're trained. They've been doing this for a long time. That's why we're happy about the concept of not just on time and on budget, but quality construction, so that the men and women who are paying taxes in the city of L.A., they're getting the quality construction that they deserve.
How many jobs do you think will actually be created in the Los Angeles area by this program? And you're talking about Los Angeles, not Orange or Palmdale or Lancaster, correct?
Right. Right now, this is in the city of Los Angeles, and how many jobs? Right. It's hard to say right now, and the reason I say that is because we're just getting started. The CRA policy that was approved. It's partnering with the private development industry, and I can't say right now how many projects we'll be able to utilize with that. With the Department of Public Works, we're also drafting a department-wide project labor agreement where, well, I'll say right now we have 7 project labor agreements. And of the 7 project labor agreements, I'm looking at a report that I have here, we have... there you go, I found it. Of those 7, 1,400 individuals that live in the city of Los Angeles since these projects started, and that's roughly June of 2005, have had an opportunity to work. And I like to coin the phrase, an hour is an opportunity. Because when we refer to jobs in construction, sometimes people look at it from the standpoint of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 4.3 weeks a month for your 12 months to get a year for 30 years. Construction doesn't work like that. Construction, A, can be cyclical in that during your winter months, the weather is challenging. It may slow down a little bit, and then your summer months it picks up. So construction measures your time based on hours, not necessarily based on the days, the weeks, and the months. So any hour that we provide someone is an opportunity for them to do 2 things: enhance their skills, but also make an impression on that contractor, and then they're able to work elsewhere. So we recognize that we're not going to be able to keep all of these men and women on City of Los Angeles projects. But what the City of Los Angeles is doing is we're taking the lead in preparing these men and women to not only work here, but then to branch out. And once you become a journey level worker, you can take that journey level card and you can go anywhere in the United States and you can show that you are a seasoned professional in construction and obtain a job.
When will we be seeing the apprentice training begin and the union jobs actually being filled?
It's happening now. The numbers that I alluded to in my testimony were numbers that are reflective of this effort on the part of the Department of Public Works. So when I made the statement that for the first quarter, we're in the process of producing our third quarter report for this fiscal year 07-08, which began July 1st. At the end of the first quarter, which was roughly September, the apprentice hours for those who live in the city of LA totaled 49,000 hours, plus or minus a few. At the end of the third quarter, we were up to 110,000 hours. Now, I'm really pleased about that, because what that tells me is that the partnership is working. And not just the partnership with the building trades, but the partnership with the community-based organizations, the faith-based organizations. It is working, it can work, and it's going to do a fantastic job. The mayor right now and the entire city family is working to deal with this issue of gangs and creating alternatives and providing hope to those who would see themselves as being in hopeless situations. This is a key component in that, in my mind. I don't want to speak for the mayor, but in my mind it is, because it provides alternatives. Someone who doesn't feel that they have anything to do or any place to go, we're telling them, you come to the building trades. We have a home for you. If you want to work and you want to learn, we can use you. And our numbers are testament to that.
Well, I think you've gotten the word out. John Reamer with Public Works, thank you for joining us here on Council Week in Review.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Again, the vote to go forward with the project labor agreement was unanimous. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of City Council meetings and programming about City Department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35 or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And we invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m., and on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending April 25th, 2008. On behalf of Roberto Campos and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
City of Los Angeles. When duty calls, the LAPD responds.
911 emergency. How old is your daughter?
She's 4 years old. Her name's Janelle.
I lost my puppy. Can you help me?
We have a critical missing. There is an Amber Alert, so let's look for any information you get. Pass that into the watch commander. Let's be careful out there.
To fight crime and to keep our streets safe.
I'm going nuts if this was my daughter.
Push units at 7855, 7855, 2 Olympic and Ardmore, Olympic and Ardmore, at the Child Market. Suspect male, 558 West, inside 5 Oxford towards Olympic. Property taken, mixed currency, code 3. 7855, roger. All units 7055 is in quick pursuit of 2 Olympic suspects southbound near the houses, requesting backup. Any area that comes out of this commitment.
7055 was
To protect and to serve.
All units code 4, 11 to Catalina, suspect in custody.
Standing with our community.
Los Angeles Police Department this morning issued an Amber Alert. The suspect is driving a black Honda Civic.
Working as a team.
Hey, what's up?
I think I saw that car that you were looking for. Can you show us? Yeah, let's go.
They take pride in what they do.
K910, code 6 on the
And when duty calls, the LAPD responds.
It's a positive on the vehicle.
Roger. Last like 2, we have a positive on the Amber Alert vehicle.
It looks like they found the car.
The LAPD is hiring. Become a part of the team. Visit us at joinlapd.com.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Today is Wednesday, April the 30th, 2008. Council meets 3 times per week on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. All meetings are open to the public, and for those who cannot make it to City Hall, the meetings are televised via cable on Channel 35 or can be viewed by visiting our website. Mr. Clerk, if you could please call the meeting to order.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weasel, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Very good. I think our first item of business will be public comment.
Madam President, actually, it's approval of the minutes.
I'm sorry. So moved, without objection.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Ms. Hahn moves, Ms. Gruel seconds.
Do you wish to take public comment at this time?
Yes, thank you. First speaker will be James Ota. James Ota.
Good morning, members and City Council members. My name is James Ota Trucking, Harbor Truckers for a Sustainable Future. Clean Air Act plan is creating a huge problem with wanting employee driver status and eliminating independent truckers. How can the mayor propose for cleaning the air need to have employee drivers instead of independent truckers? Does just having the union come in and replace all the independent truckers and also eliminate many of the harbor trucking companies? We're going to comply with the replacing of the older trucks, and we should replace all the harbor trucks instead of retrofitting some. They all need to be replaced by the year 2012. The port's proposal for the $35 container fee should be on all containers and not selecting a certain group of containers but for all. This money should be used exactly for replacing of all harbor trucks because 2012 all harbor trucks are to be 2007 engine model trucks. Use all the money intended for the replacement of these harbor trucks be exactly for this intended purpose. Cleaning the air, we can all do our part in cleaning the air to help eliminate health issues that are related to the polluted air in the harbor. This does not mean replacing independent drivers with union employee drivers. No union and no concession. Instead of concession, have permits to go into the harbor. No concession and no union drivers. We do not need to have concessions for LMCs, nor do we need union employee drivers in the harbor. If the port wants to keep track of their money being used for the replacement of these trucks, have the ports use permits, keep track of their money. We can still continue to comply with permits and the ports utilize companies that keep track of trucks and truckers with UIA, IANA, Pure Pass, and Emoto, to name a few, instead of spending more money to duplicate existing companies. LA spends too much money on unnecessary programs and try to make the citizens pay with increased tax or eliminating others.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ota.
Okay.
Our next speaker will be Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Good morning. Thank you for an opportunity to address the City Council. As usual, my topic of discourse is housing. Housing is a human right. I've lived downtown for 5 years, and I believe the ordinance, which we have been asking you to release with the appropriate percentage of a basic rent, which we consider low income or affordable housing, should be released. That was 30% of the housing available, from what I understand, at $1,000 per month the last time we met with Mr. Garcetti and Ms. Perry. That's not acceptable simply because that's not a practical rent for most of the most vulnerable residents downtown, those being economically challenged people, veterans, seniors, and disabled people. Whether the terminology is low-income housing or affordable housing, we need a more viable and practical rent so that we will not become homeless. This is the issue here. It's not semantics and it's not nomenclature. It's a practical, realistic rent that we can pay. And I think you can understand that in the plainest of English. We thank you for your consideration, Mr. Garcetti and Ms. Perry. You've recently acknowledged some very good friends of mine for their street ball leagues. You've contributed buses to my friends' field trip to the museum last week, which I attended, and you've been kind enough, Ms. Perry, to also make other very generous contributions to my friends in their theatrical ensemble productions. But that's status quo. First, we need housing. Without housing, we cannot participate in theater arts, we cannot make field trips to the museums, and we thank Mr. Villaraigosa for the lighting, but we need housing before the lighting, before the buses, and before the chairs, because that is the priority, not maintenance of status quo for the residents of the downtown area. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your consideration. We anticipate an acceptable ordinance to be released.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zumadog is the next speaker.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, City of Los Angeles and City Council. And I'd like to say I've shot some great footage yesterday here that's available at Zoom at Times. I've been covering the City Council meetings. You could look, I had something great with Councilmember Weezer and David Zanizer talking about the Broadway development. So if you'd like to find out what's in store, you can go to Zoom at Times. And I think a lot of great things have been happening from an activist standpoint at City Hall with some great community. I was in Sunland, Tujunga, for example, regarding Home Depot on Saturday. They had 300 people from the community that showed up on a hot Saturday to give their thoughts to the city attorney's office. Overwhelmingly no. And I'd like to remind everybody that Friday will be the first council meeting in Van Nuys in 3 months. Unfortunately, Council President Garcetti won't be there. But I would suggest to people from Sunland, Tujunga come down and let City Council know. It was my first time in Sunland, Tujunga, and I was shocked. I mean, it's such a warm, charming, small community to have a Home Depot on this narrow road that is in violation of Latham and Watkins' own law that they created. Now they're violating it, representing Home Depot, being too close to a school. It's outrageous. I mean, anybody goes out to Sunland, Tujunga, you can see how ridiculous it is to have a Home Depot there. And I'm talking way too much about it, but I'll be blogging about that. I took video of the people's public comment, that too at zoomattimes.com. And I'd like to say regarding Jamil's law, there's the city council motion that Councilmember Zine put forth, and I'd like to say shame on Jack Weiss for keeping the city council motion tied up in his committee, claiming that he's very busy spending time on budget. You know, this is a very important issue of the city. It's going to have political repercussions. So now Zumadog, who was trying to be supportive of council's motion, has to say, go to jamilslaw.com, go to jamilslaw.com. They're going to try to put it on the ballot, sign a petition. We'll have to put it on a ballot. Call 311. Ask for Jack Weiss. Tell him to put this through the council floor. zoomattimes.com.
Next speaker will be Oscar Johnson. Oscar Johnson.
Good morning. Good morning, City Councilman. My name is Oscar Johnson. I was speaking as a concerned citizen in Los Angeles, California. I see where the MTA is going to have an 8-mile rails from an exposition to Santa Monica in a cost of $230 million. I think that's a waste of government money. We should direct our money in a more positive direction than that. And I'm speaking against the police brutality, how the police there's brutality to homeless citizens on Skid Row. And I don't think the homeless should exist on Skid Row. There's no place for women and children to be in filth and corruption week after week, month after month, and year after year. I'm speaking against the bad buses on the MTA. There's a lot of buses that are being used for their own purpose use, and there's a very unactive to be used the MTA buses and the school buses for their own purpose use. There was a hit-and-run accident on Wilshire, Vermont, about 2 weeks ago. A bus driver killed a Hispanic lady, hit and run, and kept going. But it seemed as though you get nothing more from the police department, you get nothing more from the district attorney office. Only thing they're concerned about is their gang situation. And there are a lot of African Americans are losing their apartments downtown in the city of Los Angeles, in the Hayward apartment, in Alexandria. A lot of minorities. But it seems as though those apartments where the white Americans live at, they're not being sold. There was what you call it, the loft. Yeah, like the different hotels where the white Americans live at, they're not being sold. Only housing that's being sold is where the minorities lives at. It seems as though we have a great conflict of interest with superior and power with race and politics in this 21st century. We should try to find a way to move from that. And anyway, I'm speaking about corruption in government. And we need to send all the illegal aliens back to where they come from. We need to start America off where America started.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Our next speaker will be Chuck Tenon. Chuck Tenon.
Good morning, council members. Chuck Tinnen. A recommendation, a double parking space violation by one vehicle taking up 2 spaces in city public parking lots and structures. People are parking incorrectly all over the city. Thousands happen each day. I personally observed at the Red Line Depot parking lot, public lot in North Hollywood, on 3 successive Wednesdays, 12, 13, and 15 incidents. This happens all over. We have enforcement, but we don't legally enforce it. It does not require additional enforcement because we have an army of sheriffs every day at these parking facilities. It would reduce the loss of available parking. Parking that we need, reduced wasted available space, discourage these violators. It's costing the city and depriving the public of parking. It would gain additional revenue to this city from losing available parking that people need. This is a new way to gain new revenue without taking away more from the distressed public. Tom LaBonge, it's in your district. And Wendy Gruhl, you're the transportation chairman. Introduce it. Herb Weston and Tony Cardenas said they're going to send you a letter of recommendation. Dennis Sign liked it. And I wanted to let Janice know I'd like to propose another idea using music to deliver a message. Stop the violence, we can live in peace. It's a contest using 100 selected teenage kids from all over her district and the city. This song can be used as a tool, a vehicle, a message, and all the proceeds going to Janice Hahn's Gang Protection Task Force Fund and other constructive related city programs to encourage kids all over the city who are the future of the city. It can start here and be used to encourage and inspire other cities across the U.S. so kids walk a straight line. I'm going to ask my barrage of songwriters to come up and write a song and pick the best one to stop the violence. We can live.
Thank you so much. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker. Mr. Arnold Sachs.
He's in another area code. You walk in from another area.
That's right. Good morning, Council Members. Arnold Sachs. Thank you, Councilman Zine, for addressing the possibility of initiating cuts to the council salaries. But as head of the Personnel Committee, it needs to be moved forward to become an agenda item. Several months ago, the council, after a couple of knuckleheads showed up in outrageous costumes, moved to put it into committee and move it to agenda item. Wherever it went, it died. But at least it moved. A 15% pay cut at minimum would show the public some backbone and lend credence to your request to reopen union contracts. Also, thank you for whoever was behind the effort to straighten out the area for public notices at the City Hall East. It really looks clean. President Pro Tem is in attendance when the President of the City Council was not here. Why isn't she running the meeting? Congratulations on your Q victory in San Pedro, Ms. Hahn. What's the deal with the expansion going on at the harbor? Will some environmental responsibilities at least be minimally met? And yesterday there was an item on the agenda voting for 12 items. A 12-vote item was on the agenda. You needed 12 members. It would really be important if and only if you were actually voting. Grand Avenue is asking for an extension to 2012. What penalties will they incur because they can't get funding? This is the second time they've got an extension. The city also got sued by the owner of the Bonaventure because of the CRA changing the density laws. We lost that. We paid that. Good thing we don't have a budget crisis. Thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. And just for the record, the council president is here and has been here and is sitting to my left. He's just off camera. Our next speaker will be Linda DeYoung.
Good morning. I'm not going to give you too much time. All the unqualified government workers leave, all right? I'm getting tired of sleeping in the street and starving. And I have to begging for food and drinks. I mean, like water or snacks. So I've been warned here and there enough. So everybody knows about themselves, their past records. And now I need some donation. I have to make $20 for surviving for today. I counted how many are in here today. I can make about $20 from each person, quarter only. I'm not leaving. Do something.
Our next speaker will be Miguel Gorman.
Yes, that would be Miguel Guzman. And just to everybody right here that's in the chamber, I don't know if everybody's supposed to be working, but everybody seems to be chatting with one another, not paying attention to the people who's coming out and speak right here. But the reason that I'm here today is because we all know what has happened in the past couple of years with this immigration rights, these immigration laws that they have been put up on the people, that we have been oppressed. And basically, I'm here to be able to say that last year, the LAPD shot us up at MacArthur Park. And basically this year, the LAPD and the Park of Recreation do not want to work with us to be able to, as members of the community, to be able to pull out a permit and be able to work with the LAPD and be able to do all of these things for everything to be right. And we are only trying to get the streets for the people to express themselves. The same way the Fiesta Broadway closes for 24 hours, I don't know how many hours they close a day, and nobody gets arrested there, nobody gets in trouble there. The police do not get to move on the people like the way they did in MacArthur Park, the way they did us wrong. So the thing that I'm asking for the council is to be able to take the time to be able to talk to us about the things that are going on with the community, because the supposedly leaders that are representing us, they're not really representing us, and these religious people are guiding us in the wrong directions. So we are peaceful, and we are going to be gathering at MacArthur Park because we got they said that, the freedom of speech permit to be able to gather at MacArthur Park, but that does not guarantee us anything. And just because we don't have a permit for the streets or for the park, that doesn't give the LAPD the right to be able to move in on us. And I would gladly appreciate if you take the time to be able to look at that. And I know you're going to be having people walking amongst these marches that are going to take place. And our march that we took this permit for is 4 o'clock. It starts at 4 o'clock till 10:30.
Your time is up. Next speaker will be Nadia Khan.
Hello, I'm also here to talk about May 1st. We did get a permit to be at MacArthur Park from 4 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. And one of the main reasons we did this was because the organizers failed in getting permits out for sufficient time. And what happened was it led to hostile situations where the police then came in and kicked out people who had every right to be at a park, or people who have a right to be on the street just like they are every other day. We're even right now in the process trying to work with the LAPD to shut down Wilshire also tomorrow night in between Parkview and Alvarado. And I know Ed Reyes is part of the district where MacArthur Park is, if I'm correct. And so we want to be able to contact him to see if we can do this, because the thing is we want to be able to peacefully gather there. That is what we've been wanting to do. But the problem is when we don't have these permits, that's when it gives the police what they think the right to then kick us out. So currently we already have a permit for MacArthur Park, and I think that needs to be known. What we need is to know that we can be on the streets around MacArthur Park because people naturally flow in this way, and we do not want to break the natural flow. We just want to be there to non-violently gather, to express ourselves and to express our solidarity with workers and against the police brutality. So if Ed Reyes is here, or if a representative of him is here, we would love to talk to you, to be able to really work with you and to work with also the LAPD to make sure that these hostile situations don't happen again against the youth and against our communities like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we can switch over to Van Nuys for Miriam Fogler.
Good morning. I'm responding to Arnold Sachs here that when you're talking about a 15% cut, it should be the management and the city council and the city workers and the water, power, police and fire deserve to have their COLAs and pay raises. These are middle income people making less than $100,000 a year, providing, of course, that excludes DWP. Most of the workers make less. And most of the engineers and electricians at the sanitation, they make 20% less than DWP, so they need the raises to compensate, because this is not right to pay people more money just because they're in one department over another. And, the city council should be repealing H&R. And I think you should be addressing that issue here. And the mayor, they should all take their pay cuts here. They're down, way down. They had 40-50% over the last 3-4 years. So if you're complaining, look at where the real problem is. And that's the ones that you have to be concerned about. Not the middle class people who are taking care of street cleaning, picking up your garbage and all that. They're middle class workers. You can't just go out and just dump these people just because you don't want them to have a decent living wage here. And the unions are not representing them fully, and they aren't. They're going along with the politicians. They're not listening to me. Obviously, they're not going after the Grand Avenue project and CRA and all that other stuff and these fees. There's a lot of workers out there that are working hard. They don't have time to take time off, and the city has to keep running. So I'm here to fill the shoes here, and some of the people there just don't want to listen. So what can you do?
Thank you very much, Ms. Vogler. We appreciate comments, and that will close our general public comment for today. Just wanted to also thank our great fire department for their wonderful response this morning to the fire that was at Hollywood and Vine. I was on scene there and rushed to council afterwards, but over 100 firefighters that protected one of our most famous intersections in Los Angeles and just did an extraordinary job. So we thank our firefighters, as always, for their great work. If we can run through the agenda, please, and take the first items.
Items 1 through 6 are street lighting district ordinances notice for public hearing. Council should have 12 members. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
So let me look at the numbers of what we're expecting. Okay, why don't we hold those then if we do have 12 members coming, and go to the next items.
Items 7 through 19 are items for which public hearings have been held. On items 9, 18, and 19, there is a request to continue those matters 1 week to May 7th.
Okay, is there any objection to those continuations? Colleagues, seeing none, those will be continued. If we can hold 7 and 8 on the desk. And any specials, colleagues, on those items, 7 through 19? Special items? If not, let's go ahead on the balance. Please open the roll. Sure. Let's pull out 13 for Ms. Hahn, no problem. And on the balance, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
And if we can send 14 forthwith without objection. Next items, please.
Items 20 through 34 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Items 20, 21, and 22 are commission appointments. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold those 3 on the desk.
There are cards on a number of those items.
Okay, which ones do we have?
24, 25, 26, 27, 29,
yep,
and 31.
Okay, we'll call those special for cards from the public. Any other specials, colleagues? We'll open and close.
Make sure you have 20 very special.
20 very special. We will open and close the public hearings on the others. And if we can go ahead and take up the balance, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 35 and 36 are the closed session items. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold those on the desk for closed session. And
that would take you now back to the items called special. Do you wish to take up the commissioners first?
Yes. Let's take up item number 20. The first commissioner, please.
And that is the appointment of Mr. Mark Little to the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families.
All right, Mr. Little, if you'd like to come forward. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Labange as Mr. Little makes his way forward to say a few words as the chair of our Arts, Parks, Health, and Aging Committee. Mr. Labange.
Members, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa has nominated the appointment of Mr. Mark T. Little to the Commission on Children, Youth, and Family. A native of Connecticut, but came west to go to the great University of Southern California. Graduated from the University of Southern California in his professional career. Presently, he lives in the northeast part of Los Angeles. He is the COO and General Counsel of Faithful Central Bible Church. For those better known, it's the church that has really embraced the Forum, which was vacated when the Lakers moved from Inglewood to Los Angeles. He has a lot of passions. He's from a great family. His father is the great Floyd Little, who was a tremendous back from Syracuse University that followed Ernie Davis and Jim Brown as great athletes, great students at Syracuse. And his dad was a great running back who should be in the Hall of Fame, I might add, for the Denver Broncos. He's very passionate about youth, and this is an ideal appointment by Mayor Villaraigosa. I ask that you all support this. And I also say, unfortunately, tragically, as a student at USC, he was a victim of crime and a gunshot, which gave him a greater challenge now. And if you want to just express that, just so, because I think one thing we had yesterday when there was a lot of public comment, people came in, they spoke passionately about no one is doing enough for young people. Having your life experiences, if you could just express that, and what you would hope to do on this commission will certainly give greater insight to the fellow commissioners who make decisions that help us with children, youth, and family. Mr. President, Commissioner Designee Little, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Marcetti, distinguished members of the council. Thank you, Mr. Labange, Mr. Huizar, who is a representative from my district. It just gives me great honor and privilege to be here before you this morning as a nominee to the Children, Youth, and Their Families Commission. Mr. Labange has taken so much steam out of what I was going to share with you this morning. He's studied my bio. We had a lovely meeting together, and he's retained most of that information. And so he has visited and shared with you a lot of what I wanted to say this morning. But yes, indeed, I am the COO and General Counsel of Faithful Central Bible Church, where I enjoy a tremendous opportunity to serve this community. Specifically, we focus as a church so much on children and their families. And it's funny, as I was preparing my remarks this morning, I began to take a trip back through my professional career. And my first cases when I graduated from the USC School of Law 14 years ago were before the Dependency Court, where I really had an opportunity to have firsthand experiences with the challenges that our children, youth, and their families face in this city. And then, of course, now doing what I do in ministry as we try to impact and to enhance the lives of families across the city, it's certainly a challenge. And yes, Councilman Labange, I was a victim of violent crime at USC and was shot by a Crip. And my life has been forever impacted by that, as I now, I wouldn't say suffer, but I certainly am a victim of violent crime, and I have an amputation. And I understand what's happening in this city, and I'm looking so forward in taking my personal experiences, both with the Dependency Court, with the church, and my own personal plight as a victim of violent crime, and helping to impact and serve this city. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank Mayor Villaraigosa for the nomination, and in his absence, thank him, and look forward to serving you in this city.
Thank you so much, Mr. Little. We have Mr. Huizar, who would like to say a few words as well. Recognize him.
Well, Mr. Little, I think this is an excellent recommendation from the mayor, and I'm thrilled to see that someone of your background will be on this commission to continue moving it forward. The city right now is undertaking a huge change in the way it delivers its service to our young people, to keep them out of gangs. As you may know, we recently made a decision to move a lot of that service delivery or support for that service delivery to the mayor's office. I hope with your background and the commission's increased involvement in that effort that we will certainly improve our services to young people. So thank you for your service. I'm thrilled that you are a CD14 resident. It shows the type of people we have living in the great CD14, and I look forward to working with you as well. The Commission for Children, Youth, and Families holds a special place in my heart. My wife worked there for about 9 years, so I know that place very well, and I only see better things coming in the future with people like you on the Commission. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Rosendahl.
Good morning. I'd like to know your vision about this commission. What do you see you doing on that commission, and give me some sense of that, and then also throw a little bit of your background into it.
Sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to. I had the pleasure of actually attending a meeting, their first meeting last month, and to have an appreciation of what the commission impacts in the city, from child care services to being advocates to the council and to the mayor. And I had an interesting opportunity to actually meet one of the youth advocates and to understand how we might, through the church community, get the youth of this city more involved with the council and with the commission is something that's very exciting for me. And to see the youth designate, be at the meeting and to be active and to participate in what we're doing for this city, it's just exciting for me. And I think my experience both in the church community and in the legal community is going to be brought to bear, and I'm looking very forward to that.
My biggest worry right now in this budget process is cutting back on library hours, which is insane, cutting back on people who work in the parks, so the parks not warming up our swimming pools and opening up our pools. You know, the thing is, services for kids, after-school programs, LA's Best, and other things, activities, sport activities, reading, going to a library on a weekend, all these things. Anything we can do to give the idle mind, as you as a preacher type know, is the devil's workshop. So I'd like to see advocacy coming from the commission in supporting all those after-school programs and all of those services that are positive intervention and prevention strategies. And I'd like a little reaction from you on the whole gang culture we have here, and what do we need to do to get rid of that and create wholesome environments for kids.
Absolutely. You know, it's a big issue, and Councilman Labange and I spent some time talking about that. And from a church perspective, and I think also from a city perspective, it's a breakdown of the family. It's very basic. It has a lot to do with parenting. It has a lot to do with opportunity for education, after-school programs, and providing opportunities for our kids, not only the kids, to have something to do after school, but the parents who simply have lost sight of what it is to parent. Because it's a cycle. It's a historical problem. We have to look at the very foundations of where it broke down, which is the father out of the home and the welfare state and things like that that have really taken the family and derailed it. And it's our future that's derailed. Mm-hmm. It's a very big problem, and the church is doing all it can to provide services both to parents and to the children, so that those things can be addressed.
Well, I thank you for stepping up to the plate. These are very challenging times, and these are very serious issues, and I look forward to your leadership advocating for the kids and for the families.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
it.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Labange, do you want to say concluding remarks?
Members, you see we have a great opportunity here, and I want to congratulate you. Thank you for your family, for your support in this effort here to make a difference in the life. And thank our Executive Director of Children, Youth, and Family, who's going through trying times, who's accepting budget challenges that are necessary to move forward. So I ask for an aye vote, everybody. Aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Labange, and thank you again, Mr. Little, for putting yourself forward in service. You already do that in your daily life, but this is another job on top of the many others that you have, and we appreciate you very much for that.
Thank you, sir.
So with that, we'll go ahead and take a one public comment card. You can either sit there or go to the side, either way, and then we'll take the vote either way, whatever. Arnold Sachs is our speaker on this item number 20. Mr. Sachs?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, or good morning. Very quickly, I'm just concerned, since it's Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families, you'll be dealing maybe with a lot of LAUSD policies, and we've heard a little bit about budget constraints and what to do about the gang problem, and it seems to me that you have a person here who's going to be jacking up one side of the car while LAUSD is letting the air out on the other three tires. They've gone ahead and they've raised the fees for youth programs to use the fields. They've gone ahead and raised the fees to rent the properties. So on one hand, you're looking for programs to put people into, children, and have them have something to do after school. Yet on the other hand, LAUSD is saying, well, if you want to use our property, you have to pay. And then I'd also just be a little bit concerned because of the headlines that LAUSD again has been making with the personnel decisions they made regarding transferring a accused predator from one school district to the other, that this commission doesn't follow LAUSD policies. Thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. We'll now take the vote on this nomination. If we can please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Congratulations, Commissioner Little. Would like to also recognize some special guests we have here in City Council chambers from St. Bernard School in Glasell Park. Sister Joan Maga is here with a bunch of her students. If the students would be kind enough to stand up, and we'd love to welcome you to City Council chambers. Thank you, Sister Joan, for bringing the class here, and thank you, young people, for being a part of civic life here in Los Angeles. We appreciate you too. Thank you. If we can go to the next two items on the commissioners, and we'll take those up together for Mr. Huizar.
Yeah, items 21 and 22 are appointments to the Quality and Productivity Commission. That's Mr. Brian Johnson and Mr. Ed Young.
We can have the nominees come forward to the table here. Go ahead, you can just slip past the rope, and I'll recognize Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As they come up and sit at the front table, I want to ask for your support for these two excellent candidates to be members of the Quality and Productivity Commission. As you know, this commission seeks ways for the city to be more responsive, efficient, and to improve its quality of service to the public. And we have with us today two individuals that have shown in their careers to have the skills to help us continue to do that. So if I could ask both of you, if you could just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself and how you hope to contribute to this commission. We'll start with Mr. Young.
Thank you, Councilman Huizar. I was employed with LA County Probation Department for 42 years, retired 3 years ago. And during the 3 years since my retirement, I've become active at the West Hills Neighborhood Council. I chair their Youth and Education Committee. Active with the Canoga Park West Hills Chamber of Commerce, and am the delegate to the United Chambers of Commerce Governmental Affairs Committee. I'm also active as a volunteer with the West Hills Optimist Club and the Pacific Southwest Optimist District. 42 years with LA County Probation was a grinding experience, and in many of my assignments I was able to use the process to enhance service delivery as well as to provide innovative and groundbreaking programs. When I was supervising in the San Fernando Valley, I was asked by then Council Member Laura Chick to see if there was something that could be done to curb truancy at Canoga Park High School. I was able to put a probation officer on campus. This was like 15, 20 years ago, and that was a model for what is now a countywide program in which probation officers are at every LAUSD high school campus. So I pioneered that program, and I feel that my innovative and creative ideas can serve well on the Quality and Productivity Commission because of the experiences I've had with probation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Johnson.
First of all, I'd like to thank Councilmember Huizar for the nomination. It's an honor to be in front of the council today. I have the privilege of serving for the past few years as the executive director of Teach for America here in Los Angeles. This has given me the honor to grow Teach for America. We now have 400 first and second year teachers working with an estimated 30,000 students every day here in Los Angeles. And to do this, I get the opportunity to raise around $5.5 million from public and private support this year alone. I think this allows me to have the experience of really being a steward of public and private resources, of really enabling me to work with public agencies as well as private donors to ensure that we are using taxpayer money and private money in the best possible way. So I think that's one thing I hope to be able to bring to the Commission. The second thing is I have the honor of working with many different parties here in Los Angeles, from the leadership over at LAUSD to community organizations like Loyola Marymount University to the leadership at over 100 schools and to countless donors. And the experience that I've had in working as a partner, bringing together people with diverse perspectives toward a shared common vision is something I also hope to bring to my work on the Commission.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank both of you for your willingness to serve the City of Los Angeles and the public. And one of the most important things this commission does, I think, is they select the winners for the Quality and Productivity Awards, where it identifies employees and or departments that have been innovative and efficient in finding ways to better serve the public. We often use these as examples, and we try to replicate it throughout the city, and I look forward to seeing those awards each and every year and then bringing back that into the Audits and Government Efficiency Committee to discuss and see how we can replicate it. So I look forward to your nominations this year. And finally, I want to thank you, Mr. Johnson, for the work you do on Teach for America. As we talk about how to improve education in the nation, it comes down to parental involvement and the quality of teaching in the classroom, and you're bringing some tremendous people, teachers, into the inner city where that quality of teaching is could make a huge difference in the lives of thousands of children, and I've seen your passion in that for many years, so thank you so much for your service on that. Thank you very much, colleagues. I ask for your vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar, and both your and Mr. Zine's recommendations are clearly well-qualified individuals. I don't know Mr. Young as well, but it sounds like your experience will be very useful, not only inside government, but also as part of our neighborhood council system, so congratulations on that. And Mr. Johnson and I have discussed before his willingness to serve, and I'm glad that we found a place for you, and I think both of you will find this a very rewarding experience, and the most that you make of it. We are always looking, especially in bad budget years, for more quality and more productivity and squeezing more out of government with less. So it's a mission that we send you on, assuming the vote goes through, which I think it will. So let's make it official. We do have one public speaker card as well, and that's Zuma Dog, if you'd like to come forward on this one. And we have you on both 21 and 22, if you want to address. Yeah, Mr. Dog. We're taking 21 and 22 together if you want to address them.
Yes, that's perfect because they're both related here. And as I switch to it, this is something that's very dear to my heart because we're talking about quality and productivity. My name's Zuma Dog for everybody here listening. Just in case you didn't know, my name's Zuma Dog from ZumaTimes.com. I happen to be one of the country's foremost experts on quality and productivity as prescribed by Dr. W. Edwards Deming, forefather of quality management. So first thing I'd like to do is invite the people who will be appointed to please go to Zuma Times and read my Interpreting Deming's 14 Points, which I consider to be the blueprint for improving quality and productivity. It's methods for management of quality and productivity. Perhaps you're aware of the techniques that Dr. Deming embraced and he took to Japan after the post-war era and was able to teach them how to manufacture. And a nod, if anybody here has heard of Dr. W. Edwards Deming, of these two appointees. I hope so. A nod of the head if they've heard of Dr. W. Edwards Deming. Even more so, please review my article, Interpreting Deming's 14 Points. There are 14 points you could read to help improve quality and productivity, efficiency, to have all departments. Let me just speak a little bit about what it will take to improve quality and productivity here in the city of Los Angeles. We need all departments to work together. Don't say I work for this department or that's not my job. Say we all work here together. We need to break down barriers between departments. We need to improve efficiency by getting rid of, if someone answers the phone, they shouldn't be transferred 3 different places. The person who answers the phone should be trained and knowledgeable to be able to take care of the situation. When you have a piece of paper, you want it to go on the least amount of desks. And so these are some of the things. And also, management by fear. I say that this Los Angeles City Hall #1 problem under the mayor is management by fear. It robs people of pride and joy and dignity of work. It allows them to say, well, I can't think for myself because if I do the right thing, then I'll be punished by it. Management by fear, the #1 problem we need to get rid of. ZumaTimes.com. Thank you so much.
And with that, let's go ahead and take the vote. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Congratulations to both of our new commissioners. Give them a round of applause. If we can return to items called special. Ms. Hahn had item number 13 was the first one. But why don't we hold that on the desk for a moment? And if we can go to next item called special.
Item 24 was called special for cards from the public.
Okay, item number 24, Mr. Sachs, if you'd like to come forward on item 24. And then we'll take up item 13 after that.
Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. It's very nice to see, I think, that you're following in the footsteps of the county government by introducing outsourcing for some of the work that's done by, I guess, city agencies. When the County Board of Supervisors puts it on their agenda, they seem to find it both feasibly economic sound and a better fit for county services. So I'm wondering how far into what other areas the city will look into outsourcing their business. Thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. And with that, let's go ahead and open the roll on this item. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. If there's no objection to sending 34B forthwith, we'll do that as well. And we'll take up item number 13. Ms. Hahn, called special.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to call this item special because it is a cooperation agreement between the Community Redevelopment Agency and the Department of Cultural Affairs for improvements and a technical study related to a wonderful treasure in downtown San Pedro, and that's the Warner Grand Theater. And I just really wanted to thank CRA and Cultural Affairs in a very tough budget time, finding a perfectly reasonable way to use tax increment dollars in the CRA project area to fund some very needed improvements in this cultural treasure and really the cornerstone of the Renaissance going on in downtown San Pedro, and that's the Warner Grand Theater. And that is the point of CRA areas, is that you use the tax increment dollars to reinvest in the same area and make improvements that will ultimately long-term help the entire area. This money will go towards handicapped seating, lighting, a fire curtain, which is very critical for the theater, and also a study that we've never really done, a technical study that will show long-term a lot of the needs that need to happen at this theater to make it truly usable and accessible to not only the community of San Pedro, but really to the wider South Bay area. We're beginning to have events there that really draw from everywhere. We've just finished our 5th annual LA Harbor International Film Festival, which brought people from all over to see films at the Warner Grand Theater. We actually had James MacArthur, who starred in the Swiss Family Robinson. Remember Fritz and Swiss Family Robinson? We showed that movie. He was there. The 93-year-old director was there. So we really have some amazing events at this theater. And I think this is a good idea, and just want to thank CRA and thank Cultural Affairs for agreeing to, in a very creative way, help to fund this treasure in San Pedro. So I would like to have your aye vote on this.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Labange.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn, and thank you for your leadership on the Warner Grand. I know Olga Garay is here, our Cultural Affairs General Manager. I called over another business, and I thought if I could just stop talking right now and give her a little of my time, we could be more informative of the wonderful work they're trying to do. Olga, could you take the center table right now, and you could run my time, Madam Clerk. I donate that to our Cultural Affairs Director.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm so thrilled that CRA has decided that they were going to invest in the Warner Grand Theater. I think that the improvements that are being made, that are both from a safety and from a American Disabled Act perspective, will only undergird our own efforts to bring more programming to the area. Just yesterday I met with the Cultural Council for the Italian Consulate, who says hello. And there's a very large Italian community in San Pedro, and so 40,000, and so we were already talking about ways that we could work together to bring programming that really elucidates the cultural heritage of the Italian community in San Pedro, and there's a lot of stuff to do down there, and it's a wonderful space, and thank you both for your leadership on this.
Thank you, Olga. Ms. Hahn, again, thank you for your leadership there. I look forward to some great old Hollywood movies, the Noir that you put on there.
Yeah, thank you very much. And there's Walter Beaumont.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again, Ms. Hahn. Let's open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved, and thank you to St. Bernard's again for being here. Have a good day in City Hall. We really appreciate your presence here. All right, bye-bye. And with that, let's go to the next item, please.
Item 25, called special for cards from the public.
Okay, item 25 is next. Zuma Dog is our speaker on this one. I'd like to come forward on item 25, Mr. Dog. 25.
Pass.
That will close the public hearing. Let's go ahead and open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Mr. President, items 26 and 27, there are amendments in the process right now. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Let's hold those for the amendments. Well, actually, why don't we take public comment on those while we're at it? Mr. Sachs, Arnold Sachs, and then we'll go out to the Valley for Miriam Fogler on item 26.
Good morning again, Arnold Sachs. Yeah, I just have a question regarding this, and maybe a clarification. When the CRA has items in committee meetings and they submit reports along with the CLA or the CAO or another city department, usually the CLA or the CAO report is accepted and nothing happens with the CRA report. Now, here we have a communication. So I'm asking for a clarification between what a communication is versus a report. Because if it was in a report and it wasn't heard in city council, it wasn't heard in committee, and then it became a communication, that would change the agenda item as a whole. So I'm asking the city attorney, if it's possible, to get a clarification on what exactly a communication is versus a report. And I'd also like to point out that the CRA is one of the special funded departments or a grant that's going to have their budget heard on Friday, May 2nd, along with the Los Angeles Housing Department, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Agency, the Housing Authority, and the Community Development Department, which leads one to think that maybe something could be combined in those 5 departments that would offset some costs of the budget crisis. Thank you for your time and your answers, and thank you for the answer on what is my communication to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. We go down to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Perhaps a council city clerk liaison could answer that question. The communication is because it was waived through committee, so that's why there's no committee report.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for that clarification. Miriam Fogler is our next speaker out in Van Nuys on item 26. Good morning, Ms. Fogler.
Well, I don't care about the administrative way of why it got here. The point is, it does get through because sometimes they don't have a public hearing on these things. And Howard Watts was the icon here. He was the one that was always going through all the meetings, and he came to city council meetings and spoke against the agency time and time again. Howard Watts. And he pointed out, and many others in the North Hollywood project area who have been in it. Can you hear me? Okay,
we can certainly hear you.
Okay, since 1979, their tax money has been frozen. Can you imagine? That's 40 years, folks. They'll never see the money coming back to the community, and the agency profits from it, and they take the monies and go somewhere else with the monies. They have no accountability. You could give you a general idea of their budget, just like they do here at the city. They got a little better at the start after Howard Watts. I guess he went away. We all go. But then now they slacked off again in their slush fund. They're more hungry than ever before, and they collect the monies from the county, folks. Instead of going to your city here, which is supposed to be paying for our essential services here, it goes to them, and they do whatever they desire, whatever they want. Of course, those unions that are with them, they're foolish because they're taking public money and using it for the developers. And those contractors they are getting money from the public below their costs, and of course we have to pay the price because it takes away from the city. And I'm going to speak on number 27. I guess you people are going to vote this in because after all, this is a rip off the taxpayer.
Thank you, Ms. Fogler. Why don't you stay there at the podium? We're going to take up the public comment on number 27, too, if you'd be kind enough to give that to us as well. We're holding it on the desk, sir. Number 27, Ms. Fogler.
we're having the budget crisis, like I said. Number 26, 27 is just all example of the CRA needs to be distinguished. I mean, we need to take the money back. All the tax income money. I'll bet you they have $400 million going to them easily from the taxes, property taxes, folks, that the city should be getting here. This is ridiculous to pay Prop 1C money to benefit them. How can the voters be so stupid enough to give the CRA more money and their projects? And with the Metro, they're all hand in hand to make money for themselves on the taxes, and also the developer makes a killing, and then they take the property away from people like the gentleman yesterday in his project area. So this is the example of how devious and how bad this agency is. And Ernie Bernardi was the tycoon on the city council that put a cap on the downtown here. The Grand Avenue would not be going today, folks, if it wasn't because Ernie Bernardi spearheaded a $2.9 million cap at $2.6 million, and that's nickels and dimes now. Compared now, we're way up in the millions. These people don't follow rules, and Ernie Bernardi and Howard Watts all laid down the rules for to save the city another 20, 30 years of life. And now that they're not here, I hope that you would have more Ernie Bernardis on the Mr. Rosendahl. I would hope that you would be one, and also Mr. Greg Smith would speak out against the CRA and do something about it, and not allow them to put businesses and residents out, because they're doing business here and they're living in the city. You shouldn't be taking something from people. Please follow these people's footsteps. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fogler. We have the amendments for 26 and 27A being circulated. Okay. And that was all the cards we had for both of those. Would you like to fill out a card for 27? I don't have one for you, Mr. Dog. I don't have 27, but why don't you come forward, and if you'll fill out the card afterwards. We don't have that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to Miriam. She's just wonderful, fantastic information. More people need to listen to her, and I'll see you at Van Nuys on Friday. Regarding the CRA, anytime I see the CRA, I got to issue a citizens alert. This is an evil body. I believe it's probably corrupt. Hundreds of millions of dollars just siphoned off of the cities and the state fund. What they do, CRA, they're the kings of eminent domain. What they'll do is they'll say, well, gee, we're going to call this blight. They're only supposed to be involved in a situation if it's community blight. Okay, and what their standard of blight, it's a very shady definition. They'll come up to your house. Hi, we're the CRA. We want you to put up a new fence. Oh, we want you to paint your garage. Oh, we changed the zoning law over here. And if you don't comply, well, then they will take your house. And there are new state laws regarding eminent domain that allows them basically, especially in East LA, as far as I'm concerned, they could basically knock on your door and say, we're taking your house. It's a very low definition of blight. And I would say that we got this new fraud, waste, and abuse unit. We got the new fraud, waste, and abuse unit that an ordinance was passed yesterday. I say, right after we send them to Mayor Antonio's office, we should probably also send them to the CRA. Hundreds of millions of dollars out the window, robbing the community, bankrupting the city, involved with the Grand Avenue project, with royal family of Dubai, doing business with the Arab Emirates, the CRA. What is going on? The CRA is the destruction of this city and county and state. And
I'll hold your time, but if you could just bring it back to the Chinatown project we're talking about, that would be.
Well, okay. I can't even get past it because it says CRA. I didn't even get past the word.
Sorry.
So I'd say be very aware of the things that they're doing here. Make sure that there's not any eminent domain. Make sure that everything's by the book. I'm sure it isn't. And beware the CRA. And I say it's the worst thing in the whole region.
Thank you. Just a point of information: there is no eminent domain involved in this project. With that, let's go ahead. We have the circulated amendments on 26 and 27. We can go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And if we can send those both forthwith without objection, we will send those on. Thank you. Next item, called special, please.
Item 29, called special for cards from the public.
Mr. Dog, you're back up. Item number 29. Well, we appreciate you. Mr. Dog passes on that one. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing. If we can open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 31, called special for cards from the public.
We'll go to Van Nuys. Ms. Fogler, item number 31 is before us now. If you'd like to give us your comments.
Well, that's why folks, they keep coming to us for more money because they waivers. And that's part of the reason with the CRA, they're taking transit money. They're doing the same thing with the fee waivers here, folks. You don't see the point that the monster wants to keep being fed and fed more. And that's exactly what they're doing. This is your pork barrels, the special fee waivers, what they have in Washington, the same thing, so that they can look good in the neighborhoods, you know, in their communities. Just to show you the kind of thing, the church is getting $45,000 that an event took place, and, you know, for insurance purposes, you're not covered, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, and you don't even know how much is being, this is awful, $45,000 for that. The Rollwoods neighborhood block party, these people can raise up money for themselves. All these different things here, this is not right to take this money away from us. This money is supposed to be going to our essential services, our basic services here for the city, not to be going to these special events. So, you know, you're wrong on all this part, unethical, not immoral, and you need the Ethics Commission and the Fraud and Abuse Department going and checking these out, as well as the CRA, and the reason why they're taking Prop 1 seed money too, just like what you're doing here with the fee waivers. So you people are closing in the gap on being caught with your hands in the cookie jar. And the city and the DWP Water, they're not going to let you get away. One day the unions will wake up and see the coffee, see the light, that the monies are going too far. And there's no money to pay for our services here, and you're paying for these different programs. And this is going to be done. You're going to be in big hot water then. You won't have a legacy like Ernie Bernardi and Howard Watts.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fogler. That'll close the public comment on that item. If we can please open the roll. Do not have a card again, Mr. Dog. Come forward if you'd like to speak on this one. And if you wouldn't mind filling out a card as well. We have 1 minute left.
Yes. Oh, thanks, Dion. You're on the phone. He still had time to put up the one finger. He really can concentrate good. Anyway, this is about special event fee waivers, and I'd like to say that we have a $700 million budget deficit right now, and we're cutting jobs, we're cutting services, we're tripling the trash collection fees, we're adding 25 cents per plastic baggie at the grocery store, we're coming up with new revenue streams. Belt tightening means belt tightening, and it's never easy, and nobody ever wants to cut back on anything. I say right here is where we start. You can't be spending $45,000 for, a spring carnival. I don't care who it's for. It's belt tightening. You got to tighten. Here's where you start. Special event fees created for a small community event open for the public, let's say a parish or something nice and small. Maybe you have a few $100s, maybe a couple $1,000s for things like the cleaning up afterwards and any type of parking, police. And now it's snowballed into this huge thing that's out of control. And if I could just finish like Jackie Goldberg, this is where we start. It's not for $45,000 events. Thank you. Belt tighten.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, just as a point of information for this person, as well as those in San Fernando Valley that have talked about it frequently, the matter was brought up in the budget hearing yesterday. It'll be in the final report that comes back to council, I believe, committee in about a week on dealing with the final policy on that. So after 3 years of talking about it, it's coming in this year's budget. I believe it'll be in the corrected actions next week.
Let the record reflect that Zuma Dog is clapping for Greg Smith. All right. With that, we can go ahead, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
May I have number 30 go forthwith, please?
Surely. Without objection, we'll send number 30 forthwith. That takes us to the items that are called special for closed session. We will now go into executive session to discuss items that are before us of a legal matter. Any of those items which require a vote in open session, we'll go back into open session and make as well. and we will come back for the other items, the ordinances which are on the desk. We will have 12 members we expect in a few minutes, so when we come back in open session, we'll take those votes as well. If we can please clear the chambers, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you. Welcome back to open session. Mr. Clerk, is there any action we need to take in open session on those items that we just voted on in closed session?
Yes, Mr. President. On item 36, there's a recommendation for settlement in the amount of $1,482,723 in the case entitled Matthew Kaplan and Penny Ziers versus City of Los Angeles. Additionally, there were directions to the Department of General Services to work on recovering costs for the property, as well as assigning a caretaker to that property.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open the roll on that as amended. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And that is approved without objection. We'll send that forthwith. And any action required on 35?
There is no action required on that one.
Okay. All right, colleagues, we're holding a number of items on the desk, ordinances. We were expecting 12 members, but we still do not have that. So we will go ahead and, I think, take up those items. Those will all be going to a second reading next week, a week from today. So
and this is items 1 through 8.
Okay. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those have a positive first reading, and we'll go over to a second reading next week, 1 week from today, as ordinances. Next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There's an excuse on the desk. Councilmember Smith requests to be excused to leave at noon on all Fridays for the remaining Fridays of the year for personal business that meets council policy, except for May 2nd and June 6th, which need a motion.
There's a ton of objections to that. Mr. Labange, would you like to be heard
I
first?
need a couple of those Fridays, Greg, so I'll vote for it if you give me 2 Fridays.
Sorry, so motion is required on which ones?
On May 2nd and June 6th.
May 2nd and June 6th, okay? We will look closely at the attendance records for those days, but I'll go ahead and move them. Colleagues, just on the ones that require motions, which is the 10th and 11th members, we're going to be sometimes not approving them here in council and just working out to make sure, as some members, as we've noticed today and other times, have not come in late or don't get there. We've had our quorum broken a couple times in the past year, and, you know, we're here to do the people's business, so it is not a rejection necessarily of people's excuses. We will just hold some of them on the desk, though, to look at whether somebody else can switch in, and we can keep a little bit more of a comfort zone with 11 or 12 members here in future. But we'll move those for now, and we'll look closely and consult with you, Mr. Smith, on those. And without objection, those excuses will be granted. Other excuses?
And that clears the desk.
Okay. Any announcements of a business nature, folks? Do we have any adjourning motions today? If I could please ask everybody in council chambers to rise for our adjourning motions. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Cardenas for our first adjourning motion.
Thank you, Council President. Sad to announce the adjourning in the memory of Esther G. Soriano, the mother of Eduardo Hewitt, someone who's worked for many of us electeds throughout Los Angeles and Bernard Parks, and currently works for me in my office. His mother passed away on Thursday, April 3rd, at the age of 61 due to complications after surgery. I'd like to say a few words about her life. I can't say enough. We did a resolution for her, and it was 2 pages. She's a wonderful human being and a trendsetter in many, many ways for many communities. She's a first-generation daughter of Filipino immigrant farm workers. Esther was born on April 6, 1946 in Santa Paula, California. She graduated from Whittier College in 1968 with a degree in political science and sociology with a minor in art history. In 1971, she started her 37-year career with the County of Los Angeles Department of Community and Senior Services. She served as the architect for the Los Angeles County Dispute Resolution Program and was recognized by the State of California, City of Los Angeles Superior Court, and multiple national alternative dispute resolution organizations for contributions to the field. In 1994, she was selected to serve as the foreperson for the Rodney King federal compensatory trial, where her mediation and facilitation skills helped bring civility and process to the discussion that helped the jury come to a consensus. Esther served as a volunteer with the City of Los Angeles Department of Recreation and Parks from 1987 to 1999, where she served in numerous capacities. She was a team mom, a head coach, assistant coach, statistician, and cheerleader. As a single parent with 3 children. She served on a total of 146 consecutive basketball, t-ball, baseball, girls basketball, flag football, and Pop Warner football teams during a 12-year period at Pan Pacific Park, West Wilshire Recreation Center in Los Angeles. In addition, from 1996 to 2003, she spent tireless hours organizing parents and students for the athletic activities at the individual schools of each of her 3 sons. Tireless in her dedication to social and political causes, Esther was a founding member of several community-based service groups, including the Search to Involve Filipino Americans, SIPA, the Asian American Drug Abuse Program, ADAP, and the Pacific Asian Consortium in Employment, PACE. Esther was well known for her optimistic liveliness, sense of humor, and spirited enthusiasm. She will be sorely missed by all who were associated with her. We were able to go to her funeral, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people there who were sharing individual stories about Esther. As you heard, she spent 37 years for the County of Los Angeles, but she truly was the kind of worker that actually put her heart and soul in everything that she did. I heard stories of people who said that when they needed something and they needed to argue with these PhDs and fight for a program, they called on Esther, and she won those fights. Not because she had the degrees, but she had the heart and the commitment, and she understood what the community needed. Once again, she was preceded in her death by her husband Raymond Hewitt, and leaves behind their 3 sons, Eduardo Hewitt, again, who works for me, Robert and Eric Soriano Hewitt of Los Angeles, and also her siblings Emily Dietrich of Rialto, David Soriano of Ventura, Virginia Soriano of Los Alamitos, and numerous nieces and nephews, and countless friends and extended family. She went on to raise her 3 sons after her husband passed away 20 years ago, and she's done a fine, fine job. So with that, we adjourn in her memory, all members.
We'll put all members on that, and I know your words at the funeral, how much they moved Eduardo and his family, Mr. Cardenas, as well as the people that were there. And so many of us that know Eduardo and knew his mother, she had such an amazing impact in the Filipino community, but in the whole Southland in the United States with her activism. So we all mourn with Eduardo, and thank you very much for doing that. Ms. Perry.
I wanted to add that Eduardo brought her in here to council chamber. I think it was probably more than a year ago, but she was very youthful looking. She looked like his older sister, and I think many of us have known Eduardo for a really long time, watched him almost grow up here, and I mentioned to her how great he was doing and how proud I was to know him, and her face just lit up. She did a great job. When you see her 3 sons lined up there speaking, you can see what a wonderful job she did raising those boys and preparing them, to be able to be successful. And I'm just glad to welcome Eduardo back. I know it was a long, hard trip, but it was a beautiful service.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other adjourning motions, colleagues? If not, Mr. Clerk, if you'll please call the roll. Just a reminder to all of the folks watching, we will be in Van Nuys this Friday for our next meeting. That's May 2nd in Van Nuys City Hall. We look forward to seeing everybody there, and have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thanks so much.